Yo, 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 yo.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, man, you're back.
Yeah.
Oh, man, yes, man. So, I was gonna ask you about Solo, but I realized I did that last week.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, you watched today's freewheeling episode. It was a little bit loose, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did you feel like you had more of those WikiHow answers than we did? Like maybe you were better at the game than we were?
How many did you get? How many did you think you beat the winning choice? Like more than 5?
Yeah.
More than 6? Ooh.
So wait a minute. Wait, did you listen to the pre-show?
Yes.
Oh, so you heard about our T-shirt idea?
Yeah.
Would you buy one of those shirts?
Anyway.
Ah, what a surprise! Would you wear them in public?
Yeah.
Oh my God! What a
Wow.
wild one, man! Yes, man.
Oh, incredible.
Wait a minute. Do you live in a beach community? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
A lot of beach bums. You're used to the beach? You got a lineage of beach bums?
Yes.
Yeah, a couple. Okay.
A little bit of turf and surf. You is your favorite time of year spring break?
Anyway. See you later.
Oh, you don't like spring break.
get
Why,
it.
spring break is when,
Maybe he's like a winter, like a Christmas man.
man.
I think he's a
Oh,
resident.
Christmas man.
He doesn't like it when it's amateur hour, and now all of a sudden everybody's vomiting up in
Got
the
it.
bathroom of the place where he likes to get lobster bisque.
He likes the townies.
I forgot to ask if oh damn it. Nope, never mind.
Okay.
I can't access the name. Never mind.
All right. Well, we're gonna take a look at this show about showbot.tv. People send in send in titles using the Bang Us command. Like our top voted one, asterisk, told ya, which is maybe the title should not be a pre-show, but
Thousands of animal buttholes. Come see
Come to
Judy.
UD. Oh, I forgot about that, yeah.
Too many Santas.
bits for the homeless.
To anyone else, this is toilet paper.
I like
I'll
that.
tell you what, if anybody liked the era of this show when the comedy was borderline offensive, then
Welcome back.
welcome back. It's a throwback.
Oh my God, CEO of homelessness. Patreon.com booty hole.
Apparently, the user the chat realmer who has patreon.com/bootyhole is now upset that is replaced the name that it shows when you pledge stuff.
Oh, that's funny.
Let's see, Mother Earth is a thirsty bitch. It's
How
pretty
to
good.
discreetly check out a dude's hogs. Hog deep in this hog.
deep in this
I
hog.
do like that one.
Hog deep in this hog
That's
is
really good.
pretty good.
Hobos should have bits. With my big, strong B-roll.
Oh wait, can we look at? Can
In a
somebody
minute,
find us?
yeah, so if someone can find
let me
it.
just put it out there. If somebody has just literally any, I want to do Australian news story breakdowns because I want to figure out like what the director of the team that was getting the B-roll was saying at all times.
Yeah. The Bliss method.
Lou boy, we're meditating now.
I love that you kept like doubling down on Lou Boy as your answer for.
Pregnancy is the only thing we're not liable for.
The bees and the bees.
Oh,
Whole hog in
America's
it.
Dick. Introducing the dumbest show at Twitch. Well, you're not wrong, Walter. You're an asshole. How many Santas?
I kind of figured, like, told you it has to be. Like, I thought from the second
The only thing is, it's not even in the. That was all pre-show, and we just keep making references.
Super Fairy Boy Donna. We scroll by Lawn T Donna.
You got this, Twiddle Tits.
Fish out for Harambe.
So anyway, we're gonna meditate.
What does it even matter anymore, comma motherfucker? We're good.
Noob Cybot.
All right, we're gonna go back to the top. See what the top vote is. Top vote is told ya. Asterisk told ya.
What else? This is toilet paper is pretty good.
Pretty good too.
Oh my God, yeah, that was really, really offensive. But I was excited where it went.
I mean, how are they gonna listen to it?
Like, listen, it's a really, really, really funny idea. The like hyper capitalism like hustle bot of Gary V like advising
meshed up with
people
the
who can't-
horrific dark reality of homelessness in America. Look, no, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I do like pregnancy is the only thing we're not liable for. I think that's pretty funny. Or hog deep in this hog. I think those are my two.
Man,
Boom, boom, boom. Any other input from the people on the show?
I have none. Like, we are now at a place of equilibrium where I could go with any of these.
Justin,
I
you're leaning in?
think hog deep in this hog is probably my favorite.
Yep, I'm in on that.
Great. Thank you to Spider by Zero and everybody who submits show titles with a bang ass command. I'm going to go write an email.
Hog deep in this hog. Hey, Brian, did you hear Bryce's new podcast?
Wait, he's got a new podcast?
He does.
Oh, yeah. We had some good response to that.
Is it called Hog Deep in This Hog? Featuring Bryce Castillo?
No, it's the long gestating, long awaited video games with Tony B. Cast.
Oh, no shit!
Yeah, we did that last week after you logged off.
Oh, yeah. And then I called, and I guess you guys were still doing it.
That's right, we were, because I think we didn't pick up.
Yeah, no, we definitely picked up. That was definitely.
Oh, no, we did, yeah. But yeah, that was fun. I didn't realize, that after show was not very long because Brian left pretty early. But we went for like a minute.
Yeah, it was definitely like 12:30 in the morning when I called.
Yeah.
You guys were still rocking.
No, we were still talking about Detroit becoming human.
That's right. Become human.
Detroit, you're human now.
Now you're the human.
Bees come humans.
Bees come.
Just a bunch of humans jizzing out of a bee's hog. I'm a bee. I'm coming humans.
Okay.
And then all these humans are flying out. I don't know why. I mean, they don't know English, right? They just came out of a bee's dick. What do you expect them to know?
They sounded like some sort of weird alien squid.
Real fans love comedy podcasts by magicians and journalists who lives in Austin and Oakland about horse shit.
That's too many
Too many Santas.
I rewatched this the other day. It
Holds
mostly
up?
holds up.
Yeah.
If it's been a while.
Hell yeah.
Zoidberg.
No,
that's what I was thinking.
that is. To be honest, I almost feel like that's the final form of absurdism. Too many cooks.
We got a poster here for the best of the worst of the internet coming June 9th and 6th.
Wait, what does it say up
So
there
there's-
for me?
So it says Sve Toms Aroif from Satan. Auntie Donna says, "What's a boner?" And then on the left here it says, "Come for the laughs, go back for the coke" from Cocaine Mike. So
Cocaine Mike. Hey. I do a lot of coke. I mean, for real though, is there any coke here?
Yes.
Yeah, if anybody finds this Australian stuff that Brian was talking about, please put it in the chat room.
Gyro car.
Do you guys want to see about the gyro?
Yeah, I
car?
want to see the gyro car.
Okay.
Hey man,
Hey.
give me a car that's gyropic. I need to go to the gyrocologist for my car.
We would like to present you with the gyroscopic transport of the future from Dahir Inshat.
Dahir!
Already in the beginning of the last century, Russian inventor Pyotr Shiluvsky created a working prototype of a two-wheeled gyro car and monorail train. At the same time, Anglo-Australian engineer Louis Brennan also built and successfully tested a gyroscopic monorail locomotive. Such machines are based on the principle of gyroscope. Thanks to the ramped-up flywheel, a gyroscope keeps the same direction of the rotation axis and effectively resists the effect of external moments of force. This means that as long as the flywheel maintains the necessary rotational speed, the car remains stable.
So technologically sound.
Sure.
Clearly backed by a
so far,
history.
I can't imagine this goes to crazy land.
Yeah.
This is precisely why the first gyro cars failed. In those days, engines often stalled, and if the flywheel stopped, the car just fell over onto its side.
Pretty dangerous.
Over the last 100 years, immense progress has been achieved in this field. Today, engines are incredibly reliable, and it's time to revisit the idea of gyro transport. Our specialists at Dahir Inshat took inspiration from recent developments in the area of electric motor control and developed a gyro car that meets all current safety requirements.
Could you imagine these
In
fucking
modern
things on the
cities,
street now?
where the problem of traffic jams is of particular importance, and it's physically and financially impossible to expand roads and build tunnels and ramps, the only solution is to utilize the unused road medium. The main feature of our gyro car is its ability to fit into the existing road infrastructure while remaining independent from the rest of traffic. Thanks
Yeah,
to
that's
the
not
small bearing
terrifying.
section and light composite body, such a car can quickly move down
They
a
like-
special fortified
They
strip
keep
between lanes and
introducing the
over
exact
rest of
same B-roll
traffic,
over and over and over
creating
again.
Almost no interference for other vehicles.
Well, the other thing
Thanks
is,
to
like,
highly
they're on these tracks that are in between the lanes, so they have like pre-programmed routes, but also, like, you can't. If this thing's blocking you, suddenly you can't like switch lanes if you're in a car and it's next to you.
No, it's really dangerous. It's intensely dangerous.
In fact, actually, would you mind play the video, but just Justin provide the more realistic audio narration over this?
Our new system will allow there to be terrifying audio or auto situations. Are you looking to the left or right? Well, imagine if you saw a gigantic monstrosity. But even worse, there's a shit ton of people on here. Indeed, all these lives could be at risk if you accidentally merge to the left too fast. Now, let's take a look at this in action. Here are all these families, kids, fathers, mothers, and even rich people in other richer things that will probably kill you should you damage their lives. Chains will also move along, making sure that if you bang the first one, all the rest of them will also result in injuries for dozens of people. Injuries that will be tended to by these gigantic trolleys. These trolleys will make sure that everybody that is hurt in this hilariously terrible system will get to a hospital at some point.
So they're showing a different design. What do you think this is? I'm gonna pause it here. It has flashing lights on it. It's in traffic, and then like rises
This is an
up.
ambulance, I'll bet you.
You may think this is an ambulance. This is actually priority access available to Diamond Plus members.
Oh, shit. Wait a minute. It's not even that simple. We'll fucking take off because this is a great... Oh, a firefighting. This is a fire truck where we're going to shoot balls of mop. Oh, shit. Into a building?
Jesus
that
Christ.
fire won't know what hit it when we shoot a softball at it.
It has a quadcopter that goes up in the air to fire water and snowballs.
brains. Thanks to the use of modern materials and self-balancing
I mean, I'm ready to turn
mechanisms,
over my
the creation
PayPal
of
account.
such
How
a
about you
car
guys?
Is already possible.
What I love is
If
that
you like
even
our
in this
concept and are
idealized
ready to
computer
fund the
rendering,
creation of a sample
there's
unit,
like
we
a
will be happy to
1-inch
proceed
threshold
and
between these
demonstrate the
huge
transport
UFO
of the
things
future to
and
the
the
whole
street
world very
lights.
shortly. Feel free to contact us and
Okay, we're gonna not. Okay, we're gonna.
Yeah, no, we're not going to give him that publicity.
No. We're only going to say their name and have them say their own name a few times.
We're only gonna feature them on our award-winning podcast. That's right, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh man, we showed them. Now everybody knows your name and knows about your cockamamie project. You probably even got an investor. You're welcome.
So I want to show you one more because this is the funniest fucking
Go.
thing I've ever
Okay,
Go.
ready. Give me the flying train.
seen. Here we go. This came out about a week ago. This is a project. There are videos that are about 5 years old that are about the same idea. Brian, can you
Jesus
describe this?
Christ on a cracker. Okay. So what the fuck? Okay, you've got a building sitting on top of a building. You've got a boat, and except the boat actually has wings, but it's not the wings that you would picture on an airplane because they're perpendicular to the motherfucking ground. It looks like somebody's trying to do some weird ass version of the fucking Shield helipad, helicarrier.
Okay. All right, so now it's taking off.
All right. Yeah. All right, and then shit flies somewhat. Why is it attached to the fucking ground?
So
Wait a minute. You're saying like it doesn't fly under its own power? It fucking rolls like a kite?
It's a glider. It's a glider that's being pulled along and then flies on the glide, I guess.
it's like attached to this monorail system that they've used in other videos. And it has, like, if you think of like a traditional airplane, the wings start off when it's parked 90 degrees turned upwards so that the jet engines sort of do a VTOL to take off, and then that wing rotates forward for forward momentum. But it's also attached to this rail system by like a pole.
So it has all the flight logistics of a fucking airplane with none of the advantages of freedom to decide where to go that come with an airplane.
Oh, and all the liability of the super reliable and never finicky monorail system because a stiff breeze damaging that track, would certainly just be something that you could roll on through.
You know what I also love is the idea of this gigantic fucking thing landing on a building. People are like, it's like,
Yeah,
coming
just
in and out
don't
of?
mind that. That's just a fucking 747 just
Landing
falling onto the landing is too generous a word because landing. What happens is you come down at speed and wheels hit and then other wheels hit and then it
and
lands
you slow
and
down
stops.
on
This
is
shit just like floats over the shit and then it runs out of steam and just goes blank and just falls down.
I love this shot because it illustrates very clearly that the turbines will absolutely overlap with the parking lot where people are meant to enter this building and will either push or pull them in whichever direction necessary because this building's only like 20 or 30 feet tall, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it takes off and loads people on the roof. People love going
To the roof
upstairs
and then getting on a plane that is really just a fucking box kite, or like you're at a fucking spring festival.
So I think the rail is for power. They've done other similar ideas of like, oh, here's a quadcopter, but it's tied to a power source, and then it's like electric energy. But that seems weird and crazy.
So here's the other thing. Okay, so they just show one taking off
And
and
another one
another
landing.
plane that was clearly waiting to go land. How the fuck does another plane wait patiently to be next in the station? It can't fucking hover there. It's
Right.
got to be moving at all times.
It would have to slow itself down because it's on a singular track.
Yeah.
It can't circle the runway
Yeah.
like a plane would.
So how the fuck was that just hanging out?
It's the power of the monorail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was there anything else to this one? This one was short. Some of these ones,
Not short enough.
it's like a 2 or 3 minute pitch video with like narration and then like 10 minutes of B-roll. But there you go. To hear in shot. Anyway, but shout outs to
Yeah, I disagree. That's right. That's my hot take.
Yeah.
Do not approve.
I want to kind of give credit to Retsu Prey for they did a series about Dahir in shot videos, and that tipped me off to that. So there we go. Let's see. Let me look back. See if we got Australian stuff. I don't think that we did. We got some more elevated car videos.
Julia Elmers on Twitter says, and Captain Wentworth, without.
So this is not.
Valerie Douglas says, by her as every principle. That's a word. Every principle.
Oh, it's all one word.
A single word.
The
yeah.
every principle.
Every principle.
Yeah. That's part of the universal theory of relativity.
Diana Kendall chiming in with the face witch had.
Oh my God. So, have you seen this on other people's @replies or like have you looked at a random Twitter thread, Brian, that you were not on and been like, wow, this is fucking crazy?
I just noticed it happening to me today, and I asked about it, and some people were like, yeah, no. That some people were not understanding. They're all like, yeah, man, bots, they exist on Twitter. It's no big deal. But, just block them, duh. But it's like...
No. These are unique and weird.
Right, right.
Because they are, you would guess, trying to synthesize by way of likes human speech.
Right.
They are trying to learn what a thing that like is applicable to a human would say.
Dolores Black chimes in with, that you really do.
I'd actually say it's not just. I would say it's more a furthering of like the way these bot farms work is they need real looking accounts.
They need a history.
And they need accounts that are tweeting stuff that are not immediately spam. Because Twitter is getting kind of harsh on new accounts now, where if you start an account and you're not like verifying your phone number immediately, and you start like promoting something, it will suspend you. I and at least 2 other people I know have had that happen immediately with a brand new account, where it's just like, you did something,
really?
We're suspending you immediately. So they need to make
it can literally just be gibberish
as long as it's not a URL.
Yeah.
Veal cutlets, they.
Ooh, they. Breaking news from intrepid cinema reporter Tom Merritt: Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom is fine.
Uh-oh. That's like the next to lowest rung on his ladder.
Yeah.
I heard today that it was like either you're gonna really like it or you're gonna really not like it.
Oh.
But the villain is paper thin, and really you're just kind of there for suspenseful situations where dinosaurs might kill somebody or do kills people. Which, like, I realized the other day, for all the snickering and sneering we can do at the Jurassic franchise, they really do own the entire corner of dinosaurs might kill this motherfucker, or dinosaurs just did kill this motherfucker. Like, what other franchise has dinosaurs regularly killing motoffuckers?
The only thing I could think of would be some sort of sci-fi.
Has anybody
cheapy.
tried to dip into dinosaur territory? I mean, outside of like the asylum.
I see. I don't think so. And part of it is that, I remember Kevin Smith was the one that I think first joked about this, that like Steven Spielberg is the mayor of Hollywood, and like that is such a hierarchical like thing, a hierarchical society, that you will not have a career if you actively piss off Steven Spielberg. And so it's like, if dinosaurs are Steven Spielberg's corner, that's
move
it.
Out of the way.
That is definable enough. You can do action adventure in a period setting. You could maybe even do sharks, right? But like, you can't do dinosaurs eating motherfuckers. That is Steven Spielberg's corner.
Wait, I'm sure we talked about this on the show. Wasn't the story that Jurassic Park 2 had a scene that was because it was up against Godzilla, they figured out an excuse to throw a T-Rex running through San Diego?
Not only Godzilla, it was up against Speed 2.
Oh, that's right, with a boat. So they brought in a boat and found an excuse to have a
wow.
T-Rex
There was
running
a
around.
boat
Yeah.
running into a dock and a T-Rex running through San Diego. That was a very big dick Steve, I guess, era of his career where he was like, nope, fuck you. I'm the king of the summer. What are you doing? Boat running into shit? Fuck off. I got a boat running into shit. What are you doing? Fucking dinosaur running around? I can do the dinosaur running around. Eat my shit. I'm Steve Spielberg.
Jay's first video game that he worked on was American McGee's Alice, which was a dark, twisted take on Alice in Wonderland long before we saw it from what's his noodle. But at one point at E3, this is in the late 90s, one of Jay's teammates had to give a demo. They're like, okay, give a demo to this guy, give a demo to this guy. You're like, all right, now give a demo to Mr. Spielberg. And he's like, oh, wow, Steven Spielberg. So he starts doing it. He's like, okay, so here's, Alice. She's doing this. She's doing that. And then here's the scene where Alice is running away from a giant ball chasing her down a hill. Like, that's got to be an awkward moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of like any cinema franchise. I know that there's Turok and there's Dino Crisis, which are video game things that have dinosaurs. I guess Tomb Raider, some of Tomb Raider has dinosaurs, but like not cinema.
Yeah. I guess the mayor of Hollywood owns that shit. Oh fuck. Is this what I think it is?
Maybe.
Show me some Australian news.
Okay, so this one came out. Justin, did you see this clip? This clip was kind of going around today, even though it's apparently 7 years old. Justin, have you seen this clip? The fishing segment from Australia TV?
Not. No.
Wow. Okay. Well, here we go. Here's a fishing segment on live TV. Goes.
Oh shit!
horribly wrong.
Mike TV didn't even know Turok Dinosaur Hunter as a video game, which is how most people knew it, but it was a comic book beforehand.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I was like, there was a movie on it? No. Okay, here we go.
On the Gold Coast now, where something is lurking
the Gold
deep
Coast.
beneath Evandale Lake. That's music from the lake just yesterday. Residents fear a shark may be inhabiting the popular swimming spot, but experts are yet to find out. For more on the mysterious sightings, I'm joined by shark expert Paul Burt. Good morning to you, Paul.
Hey, Carl.
Hey, it's Gold Coast. That's where I
That
was.
a very big
That's
build-up. How low key are you up there on the Gold
Story
Coast?
of my life. Story of my life, mate. Great production. Just not good at the end.
Focus.
Here, pause it real quick. Sure. Also, that safety netting behind him, I was really distracted that safety netting was just painted black and used in the robot fighting scene of Solo. Like, you just noticed that, and they even reach forward and they touch it, and it's very clearly that cheap plastic netting that you see from safety shit.
Well, at least he wasn't trying to talk into a lady's razor.
Wait, when was that? Oh, was that on the
Phantom
original?
Menace. Yeah, that's Qui-Gon Jinn's communicator. It's just a lady's razor.
That's amazing.
And then also there's a little fucking like a highlight little thing.
Oh yeah, in the background, yeah.
Background.
Ready to go.
Now listen. Hey, hey, what's going on behind you?
The ducks just landed, mate. I think, look, this is the lake at Evandale, the Gold Coast City Council chambers, where there's been a possible sighting of a Noah, the man in the grey suit, or what we call a shark. Is it really a shark? I don't think so. Look, there's a slight possibility it could be, but reality is, mate, look, the council put a bait fish net out there a couple of days ago. No floats have gone down, so it hasn't even caught a bait fish. But look, we've got to take these claims seriously because people do use this lake on a daily basis. And we've got the Nerang River just about 30 metres to the south of it. And there could be one angler who may have caught a shark in there because there are lots of bull sharks in that area and he could have thrown it in the lake. So we've got to take it a little bit serious.
I'm going to give you one chance to catch this shark. You've got one chance and one chance only. Off you go.
All right, well, if I had a mayoral candidate down here in the water, I'd probably do all right.
No excuses. Off you go.
Yeah, here we go.
Here we go. Excellent cast.
We'll just wait for the lure to land. Still going.
Wow.
Woo!
Here we go.
It's out there. And it's come. There we go.
You got a duck.
I got a bird. I got a bird. I got a
Oh my God,
I'd go to
That's
another
enough.
shop.
no! Oh my
Stop now, stop
fucking
now, stop now,
God!
stop now, stop
He
now.
stuck
That's
a
enough.
poor little bird.
Well, that didn't end well, did it? Picking duck anyway?
Oh my God, the land of morning news where no fucks are
Wait,
given.
hold on. We gotta roll that back. I'm gonna turn on the speakers again. I don't know if you guys know, but my wife
Yeah, is a fan
loves
of birds.
birds as do I. Come here, so
Yeah, but
everybody
how does she
can see
feel
your
about
water.
sharks? She's okay with sharks getting gotten though.
Yeah, we're just taking care of some sharks. Hi,
Uh,
Ashley.
Ashley, you're okay with sharks getting got?
I don't like sharks.
Yeah.
like
Okay,
shark-
good.
okay.
No, we fuck those sharks. All right, we're gonna catch a shark right now live on the air. It's gonna be great.
A little bit serious.
I'm going to give you one chance to catch this shark. You've got one chance and one chance only. Off you go.
All right. Well, if I had
No
a
excuses,
male
bro.
candidate
No,
down
no
here in the water, I'd
excuses.
probably do all
That's
right.
it.
No excuses. Off you go.
Yeah, here we go.
Here we go.
Also, look at this dude's fucking cast.
Excellent
It puts-
Just wait for the lure to land. It's still going. There we go.
Wow.
Woo!
Here we go.
It's out there. And it's come. There we go.
You got a
I
duck.
got a bird. I got a bird. I got a.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Oh, no.
I'd go to
That's
another
enough.
shot.
Okay, stop now, stop now.
Yeah.
Stop now, stop now, stop now. That's enough.
That's awful.
He turns to the camera and he says,
Well, did it?
"I'd
Why
go."
would you bring me in for this? My husband, get out.
He turns and he says, "I'd go to another shot."
Yeah. No, he's like, this is a
directing.
horrific thing.
He's topping from the bottom. He's just like, "Whoa, no, go."
That bird got caught on that fishing line.
I love that the news anchor tries to play it off with the peeking
But you know,
duck
that
joke.
shit happens.
Well, that didn't end well, did it? Peking duck, anyone?
Not the right time, dude.
Lisa?
Awkward. And speaking of sharks, check this out, for heaven's sake. A kayaker in the US who caught the big one and just wouldn't let go. He is a crazy guy, and we're going to bring you the full story after 7 o'clock. Sometimes it's so dangerous sitting here.
It's okay, the bird's okay.
Yep, all sorted.
Yeah.
No
Duck's good.
No, ducks were hurt in the filming
No.
of that sequence.
The whole thing was bull shark.
You know he's wearing
You
shorts.
pleased with that?
You know
Oh,
he's
there's
wearing
a
shorts.
segment.
He's
Yeah,
wearing
that
shorts
makes
and running shoes.
There's where that gif is from.
You
I didn't
pleased
realize
with
there was
that?
that gif.
What a segment. See, they don't make that stuff at prime time.
See, I'm telling you, the morning. That's the land of no fucks given. Hey, you know what's fun is showing kids viral videos from 5 years ago, where it's like they have
yeah.
no memories of that shit. Like I showed them, hey there, up in the sky, it's K-Strass, the
K-Strass, the
yo-yo
yo-yo
guy. Biddy-da-ba-ba-ba, do-do-do-do-do-do-do, yo-yo-yo.
Where is there a meme or a viral video that you are like itching to show your kids, but it's too adult, like maybe it has a curse word or two or something like that, that you are like hoping they're on the cusp that you can show them soon?
That's certainly the case, not so much for viral videos, but for like movies and television content. You know, there's so much stuff I want to share with them that they're just not ready for.
Like, what would be at the top of the list? Like, if you were to give a like, this is it.
You know, weird. I could think of comic books that pop to mind, and you know, like the kids are just too young for like Lock and Key and shit, and the audiobooks. Even listening to the Gentleman Bastard series, the Liza Locklamora, I'm like, fuck, so close. The kids can't handle this though.
Do you think Penny? I mean, you don't think that Penny would be you know, in Lock and Key range now?
She doesn't like being scared, and she doesn't like seeing violence with real consequences, and she doesn't like seeing people mistreated. So I'm going to say no. Josie, I think, could probably read it right now and think it's cool.
Maybe I just haven't read Lock and Key in a while. But I guess, it certainly is in a more real setting than Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I guess it is still just a crazy house with crazy rules.
Yeah, and it's also kind of, the rules of the house. On the one hand, it's meant for children to explore and to have explore the powers of. But then also there's definitely, they go back in time and they watch straight up hanging, and you have 4 pages dedicated to a father and his wife explaining to the kids how to take care of the land now that they're being hung by the Tories.
Yeah.
Where
that is a little rough.
Where does Lord of the Rings fall for them? Because that's kind of semi-adult, but it's also maybe a little heavier just in terms of
That would just be
density.
boring.
That's the word. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, it would be boring.
I think
even the movies.
No. Yeah, no. I mean the movies. I think
really?
that the movies at this point, it was luxurious when it came out. The run times and how lengthy that was, but it was viewed as no, it should feel weighty because the books are so important, right?
Yeah.
Whereas now I just feel like we're that much further away. The movies are so much more famous than the books, which I think has kind of supplanted the legacy of it. Now you say Lord of the Rings now, and people are like, oh, those were those movies that came out.
Right.
Where when those movies were being made and came out, it was Lord of the Rings. It's yes, that's the nerd Bible.
Yeah.
It's this rite of passage that you read at a certain. It's basically the fucking Torah for nerds. You read it at a certain point when you're of a certain age, and if you can get through all of it, congratulations, you're now a nerd.
Yeah.
And you now you can only fuck other nerds because being a nerd is still a scarlet letter and not a thing for which is both mainstream and a reason why you should yell at actresses on Twitter.
Oh, Jesus. Well, what about Theater Monkey asked, what about The Matrix, Brian?
I showed Penny The Matrix.
Oh, did she like it?
I kept 3 or 4 times she tried to get up and leave, and I'm like, nope, you're gonna watch it. You're gonna watch it. You're gonna watch The Matrix.
Just the first one?
Yeah. Because why wouldn't you stop right there? And it was fun. The reason I showed her The Matrix was because we had just watched Kung Fu Panda, and I realized Kung Fu Panda and The Matrix are the same movie, and that was a fun realization. But that's certainly my mind is racing with all of the great movies of the last 20 years. What should let's give her another year. Let's say between now and when she's 15.
I wonder if she would like Blade Runner, because the violence in that there is violence, but I know it's long. It's a long sort of.
No, I would even say that's even if you're not into violence and you're not into intimidation, because that's a film noir, and if you're the threat of constant violence is what makes a film noir movie or story interesting, because it's death lies around every corner. You don't know if the authorities or the criminals are going to kill you. And that's kind of what Blade Runner is taken to the other extent. And Harrison Ford drops a hard R in narration. But I would say maybe even this is definitely on the boring scale, but something kind of fantastical 2001 or something like that.
You know what? That might be, or maybe even the more, I'm losing the word for it, but the more, I want to say discursive. That's not the right word, but 2010, something that's more flat storytelling.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know how 2010 stands up to anybody who didn't grow up in the Cold War, because so much of it is seeing the end conclusion of what the Cold War. Oh yeah, she did watch Interstellar and spent the entire movie howling and crying in the theater. I think I shared this story.
I remember that.
She was like, it was dead silent in there with everybody. The movie had cast a spell over everyone, and all you could hear loud as fuck is the sobs of my 14-year-old daughter next to me, next to her father, watching a father figure die.
I do wonder how she would take to 2001, because 2001 is very much about like has a very heavy element of hopelessness and maybe injustice.
I heard on Penn Sunday School podcast, I'm probably misquoting him, and I don't know that he has anything to back it up, but he said that the year 2001 came out, it lost special effects to Planet of the Apes because they did not know that those were actors in costumes doing all the monkey bits in the first third of 2001. Which is a similar story to there's a magician that would Tom Mullica would do an act where he would eat cigarettes, and everybody at FISM, the Olympics of Magic, thought that he was just eating cigarettes, and they did not give him the award. They're like, that's just a geek act, and then they didn't realize they'd all been fooled.
That's why all of the like Academy voting stuff, like every year they do those profile, anonymous reasonings for stuff, and you realize it's just like people just making their best guess of like whatever they want to think.
Well, also it's just old cranks
Yeah.
that at some point wrote a fucking movie in 1910, and they're like, "What? Moonlight was boring. Like whatever. He jerked them off. Who cares? I like the other one."
Oh, I should rewatch Moonlight. Oh, Blade Runner 2049, if anybody's interested, is now on HBO now.
Right on.
I loved, to me, Blade Runner 2049 and The Last Jedi are two movies that I felt were very, very similar in that it evoked everything that I loved about science fiction novels writ onto the big screen on a way that I was like, I hadn't really seen since Lord of the Rings. Like, it felt to me like science fiction movies the way that Lord of the Rings felt like a fantasy book come to life.
I tried to get my kids to watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and
I wonder how that holds up. Does it hold up? Did you watch it with them?
Well, it was the 5-year-old and the 10-year-old, and the 10-year-old is usually pretty indulgent and will go along for a ride, but like 15 minutes in, she's like, "Dad, this is boring," and he doesn't seem very respectful of his parents.
Oh my goodness!
And I was like, "All right,
Brown
and
noser.
we're gonna watch Wall-E." Hey,
I mean, I think that there is a lot. So I've been doing a lot of research for this 1960 podcast, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, when you look at the 50s, there's a lot of echoes of what we are in now, in that it was a era in which kids were kind of by and large happy with their parents and respectful of their parents. The idea of the family structure was good because the economy was good, things were growing, but also there was this whole new realm of possibility that was being created with like the beginnings of globalization, the highway system that like now all of a sudden brought and interconnected everything on a level that hadn't been there before. And you kind of look at that now in a world where, either Penny or Josie could learn coding over the summer and make an app this summer, and then their next app could be something that would create a career for life.
right.
And the last time that really was the case in a way that was new and viable was when the highway system was created. And it was like, yeah, I'll just make a hamburger stand. And it'll be right next to where people get off on the highway. Or I'll make a hotel. I'll make a dry cleaning place. And now there's just people coming constantly, and I can create a viable business on it in the way that the App Store exists.
Yeah, branching off of new infrastructures.
So I've got either good news or bad news.
Okay.
It's bad news for art. It's good news for Team Night Attack. Peter Soretta at /film just tweeted, #Incredibles 2 is a serviceable sequel, a fun adventure, but not on the same level of the original.
Fantastic production guy. Wow.
That's big news for the game because I
It's a
think we were
sequel.
expecting it. Well, no, dude, sequels can be better than the original. Aliens was better than Alien, and Toy Story 2 is arguably better than Toy Story 1, and Toy Story 3 was arguably better than the previous two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I have gotten the kids to watch all the Back to the Future movies, and they loved it. Man, is that a fantastic series to show your kids. Highly recommended.
And that's one of them where the maligned. Well, what do you think is more maligned, 2 or 3?
2 is the most maligned because it was so shallow. It was just it was criticized as being the most commercial with the most integrated tie-ins or whatever, which weirdly all those integrated tie-ins have aged really well because it's quaint that it's a Black & Decker rehydrator. It's quaint that it's Nike shoes.
No, it's quaint. It's quaint in that they were the first ones to understand that everything else was going to fall apart and everyone was going to rely on fucking commercial tie-ins.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah, it was good.
No, which is funny because it was only like as an adult that I realized that people older than me hated 2 and respected 3. Whereas everybody my age used to hate 3 because it was the only one that was like, oh, what'd you love about this series? Well, it's great, man. There's this kid and his parents, and they time travel, and they have all these crazy situations. And so the one that sucks the most is 3, where neither time travel nor the parents are in any way really a part of the story. And they just go to the Old West and they just tell an Old West story. And I loved all of them, but then I realized that apparently I shouldn't be defending 3 anymore. I should be defending 2.
Yeah. Oh, doggone it. There was something I was going to share that I've already lost.
And by the way, the most Jack in the chat room says that me saying that the 2010s or the 1950s is an oversimplification. You're right. They are different decades in a lot of different ways. I'm just saying that there are broad strokes that I find interesting in terms of the parallels, not to mention the fact that a general coming off the battlefield and becoming president is something that was very, very shocking to people in the way that somebody who just became president was very shocking to people.
Oh, yeah. No, you just reminded me. I read somewhere that I don't know if there's any credibility to this rumor, but I read that at the time they were shooting Back to the Future 2, that they modeled Old Biff on Donald Trump.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
I had not heard that before. That was news to me.
No. I think that was definitely. I mean, he was the nouveau riche, the sign of wealth and excess. I mean, I think I've kind of joked before that he's modeled his entire brand, a brand that was tremendously successful on being kind of like a literal Bible villain. Like, he's just this gigantic, super rich, smell my finger kind of guy.
Donald John Trump?
Yeah, that's that dude.
Wow. The president?
The president. But yeah, that's a thing. Man, no, I love Back to the Future. Would you be down with the Back to the Future reboot?
I don't see the need for it. It's perfect as is, and I don't think anything would be brought to it that would be good. Similar to, what I really want to show my kids is, speaking of Solo, that Warwick Davis cameo, I rather enjoyed. It didn't overstay its welcome, just long enough for you to say, oh, that's the guy that was inside R2-D2, and he was in Willow, and he's an old man, and we see him for 3 seconds. That's kind of cool.
I agree.
Okay. I didn't know if you were...
And I saw him.
Okay.
It was kind of the same as the obligatory Clint Howard cameo.
Yeah. Oh, wait, no. Kenny Baker was in R2-D2. Sorry. What got me thinking about all this was I was thinking about how Time Bandits is a perfect movie and shouldn't be remade, but my kids won't watch it.
No.
And Kenny Baker was in...
Clint Howard's been in all of Ron Howard's movies.
Yeah, Clint Howard was amazing. There was great seeing him in there. That made me very happy.
I love Clint Howard. I wish Clint Howard would be in more shit. He's fucking awesome.
What about Bill and Ted's? Would the kids like Bill and Ted?
Oh,
That's
Bill
a
and Ted
great one.
might be the one.
Because, well, man.
So I recently rewatched Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
Dude.
And I forgot all the credit that I give that franchise, I give to Bogus Journey.
Exactly.
It's
Bogus
just
Journey was
not-
the superior of the two, right?
Oh, and it's not to say that Excellent Adventure is not good. It is good for very simplistic kind of reasons, but it is like
Bogus Journey is gets the short shrift, and it's bullshit because Bogus Journey is fucking amazing.
No, Bogus Journey is one of the most original, amazing science fiction stories ever told on the big screen. Like, it is so imaginative and so amazing, where you forget that kind of it starts with Excellent Adventure, which is effectively the pitch. You realize the pitch when you rewatch the movie, that it's like two stoner dudes don't study for their test, and now they have the craziest cram session ever. And it's like, and there's a lot of very fun, mildly subversive stuff in that movie, like the stepmom and stuff like that. Like, there's like a lot of like mild kind of commentary of the modern era, but nothing like the fucking grandiose like depictions of heaven and hell, and hell is this like minimalist Russian cinema, you know, like all this like negative space and zoom in kind of stuff, and you know, heaven being you know what it is, and station and the fucking robots and shit. Like, that is like, you do that now, and it's one of the most original science fiction movies of all time.
The whole like the riffing on playing chess with death to cheat death, and then death is just an asshole and a sore loser who can't fucking give it up and just keeps doing more games, and they get increasingly less skill based. He loses a fucking battleship. It's fucking great.
No, that's
Twister. They play Twister.
The best is, I forget which one where they beat him, and they're just like, best 4 out of 7. Damn right.
Damn right.
And then they befriend death. But I mean, like, there's like, talk about fucking, you know, if I guess theoretically, if Excellent Adventure is about history, then Bogus Journey is about philosophy and theology. But hold on.
Uh-oh. Yeah. You
He's talking
don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
There's just something amazing about it. It's just so fucking creative. I just love both of them.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know how on earth any of this got approved, but I'm so happy that it exists. And I did not see it on the big screen, so I don't the big screen. I didn't see it on the big screen, so I can't speak to it. But
I saw Bogus Journey in theaters.
Yeah,
I saw Bogus Journey in theaters. I didn't see Excellent Adventure. I think I was too young to see Excellent Adventure.
Oh
in theaters.
man,
Are you guys excited for the third movie?
yes, 100%. Yeah,
100%. Because they both look young.
yeah.
Like they both still look like Bill and Ted. Like they have retained, they just kind of look like exactly how you would expect an older Bill and Ted to look, but they both kind of look like 10, 20 years younger than they really are. They've held up in like, how crazy is it that like they both held up insanely well, that one of them isn't just a fat fucking mess.
Yeah. Well, and we got a little taste of that in Cobra Kai, in that one of the two stars aged a little bit better than the other. The other one looks like me. Like I was astonished at how much like old 45-year-old Johnny I look like.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Have you watched it yet, or do you care?
I don't watch Cobra Kai.
It's worth watching. It's so it does the best magic trick of being so silly and corny and cheesy, and yet also have brilliant writing, and it's so good. It's just great.
All right, let me ask you a question. So people are asking about George Carlin as Rufus.
Yeah.
Where do you go with that? Because obviously, look, Rufus the character is easy to replace. Like, despite the fact that he went on these adventures with Bill and Ted, now Bill and Ted are older. We're going to tell a story about them being older, and Rufus comes from a race of these kinds of people, so it's like there's a reason why somebody else would be guiding them through this. But in the casting, do you go with another stand-up comic? Is it Dave Chappelle? Is it Louis C.K.? Like, are you just going for another person in that George Carlin vein?
That's interesting. That's a good question. I don't have an answer for that I'm overly fond of. I mean, it seems to me like the easiest thing you do is you're like, too bad Rufus died. Here's his hollow. I was gonna say prison for his soul. Here's his hollow grave, which is worse. Here's his shallow grave. But to have the character, somebody in the chat was saying Lawrence Fishburne. That'd be interesting. Something with a nostalgic bent to it. I could see.
I loved Rufus because Carlin's acting, like specifically at that time, he was never really evolved as an actor beyond I'm just George Carlin doing a George Carlin thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like he was always a version of George Carlin. He wasn't like all of a sudden George Carlin was this old Russian man or something like that. And I kind of feel like that's what I would want is just somebody. I would want a Chris Rock. I'd want a
people are saying Louis Black. I could see that working. It's a
yeah.
Yeah. And especially if they give an immediate wink and a nod, he's just like, yeah, I don't understand it either, but I'm Rufus still. Now we've got adventures to go on, and I'm really mad about him. Rawr!
Yeah, so people are saying Steve Martin. I almost feel like Steve Martin's too good of an actor.
Too sweet.
Like,
yeah, no, too sweet by half. Yeah.
Eddie Murphy would be inspired. Just because I think we all kind of want to like Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt might not be bad. For whatever reason, I don't know why I'm making Rufus only a stand-up comic character.
No, but
Like,
I think you're right.
about
I think that is structurally, there's a reason that they cast a stand-up comic in that character to begin with.
Aisha Tyler is floated out.
Bill Burr.
Aisha Tyler would be bad. Bill Burr would be great. Actually, Bill Burr might be because here's the problem: is that the real.
I'll tell you what. I actually wouldn't mind Alec Baldwin at all. Like just Alec Baldwin just showing up.
See, he's just too slick, though. Like the cool thing about Rufus was that he was still kind of like he was like taking a chance. He was like kind of nervous.
Yeah.
But he was so confident that he was hoping to instill confidence. Oh, Rufus won't be recast.
Now this is from 2010, so
but that also it's like no, but yeah, so it wouldn't be Rufus, it'll be Doofus, and it'll be somebody else, right? Bob Odenkirk.
It would be fun to see Bob Odenkirk channel, Better Call Saul, and just explaining the technicalities of what they can and can't do according to time law, and then
Sutter Kane says Dennis Miller. Dennis Miller. I mean, but the problem is that Dennis Miller was really a contemporary for George Carlin. Like they were hot at about the same time.
Well, but it would make sense because everybody has aged out on this, and so like this is the story of them older.
Well, I guess it really depends.
Whatever the
on
analog.
It really depends on what story they want to tell, right? Because if it's like the younger version of that race finding that they need to go recall the ancients to recalibrate something, then
hang on. I just got an important tweet. Allison Addington says, "The little boy." End quote. Both father.
Oh, both father. It's Pride Month, so
okay.
Now, if we're gonna gender flip it, people are saying Sarah Silverman. I would almost even go with like. What was her name? Ali Wong? Is that the one, the baby cobra?
Yeah, that's baby cobra.
I think I would almost go there. I would go with somebody that's acerbic in the way that George Carlin was like that kind of acerbic. Whereas like Sarah Silverman, who somebody mentioned, I feel like was always like, she was kind of like ironic acerbic. It was like, oh, did the Jews kill Jesus? I don't know. Like, Whereas like Ali Wong is just kind of mean in the way that George Carlin was just, I'm being mean to you right
Nick
now.
Offerman really would be a fun counterpoint of energy. Just this sort of super mellow deadpan, like, yeah, you got to do this thing. I don't really care. Go.
Yeah. Offerman would be good. But again, I don't know why, for whatever reason, I have this like no, it must only go to a stand-up comic. Like there needs to be a stand-up comic.
Maybe like John Mulaney, kind of a.
John Mulaney would be a very different version. John Mulaney would be, I think. I want to see more John Mulaney in movies.
He just had that new Netflix special come out. It was very good.
No, but he's great. I just feel like he needs a vehicle. Mm-hmm. Like he needs a show or he needs a movie franchise. Like
they'll call it the John Mulaney Show, and they'll put it on Fox.
Oh, did they? Was that a thing?
Yeah, they did.
Well, no, I mean like a talk show. I mean, he's got to have something where he is like kind of like writing constantly, or he's like a detective solving mysteries.
That would be good. I would love to see a John Mulaney being a detective procedural.
I wasn't even thinking. I was thinking in movies, like making like a fucking Sam Spade type, or some American 007, but without, or maybe make it an action adventure thing. Yeah. Jim Gaffigan, maybe.
Okay.
Let's see that. Anyway,
Jim Gaffigan would be fun.
Did I would bet that you didn't, Brian, but I think there's maybe a chance that you saw this, Justin. The Break, the Michelle Wolf Netflix weekly series.
I saw clips. I did not see the whole thing. I will confess that I have not been as up on the Daily Show post Jon Stewart as I once was. So I have not seen much of Michelle Wolf except for her Correspondence Dinner thing, which I did watch in full.
Yeah.
Who boy?
The Break is super weird because it makes you. It made me realize. Oh yeah, a lot of these cable newsy shows are very heavily scripted, but they're usually not completely scripted. And that was the thing that really took me out of The Break, was that literally every minute of that show is written, like to the point where they did they set up what seemed like it would be an interview with another TV writer, but then it was like this duologue, which was like really bizarre. It was like that would have been the very good moment for any natural energy, but every single second of that show was scripted out, and it was super weird. It's kind of weird.
And again, I don't know a lot about Michelle Wolf, so I can't really speak to it. But my instinct, having watched a little bit of her Daily Show work after the Correspondence Dinner, was that she's a great. I'm obsessed in podcasting with like roles. Like, who's the point guard? Who's distributing? Who's the one-liner person? Like, and I think that she's a great shooting guard in a way that, like, the Daily Show is perfect at doing. Like, they bring somebody on, and then all of a sudden, Trevor Noah or Jon Stewart is the straight man. And it's, and they're the goofy one, done with like Weekend Update, except like more so with Weekend Update, because they're like, and now here's a literal honking horn. Honking horn, what do you think about the government? Wait a minute. That doesn't sound like honk. Okay, thank you, everybody. It's a honking horn. Mm-hmm. And I think she's great at that because she can just be, and specifically for that audience, she can lay in that like, well, what's up with men? And it's like, well, I'm a man. Sure you are. And like, there's that kind of like back and forth. And I think that's great for that. I just think if you're going to do the show where the shooting guard becomes the center of the show, you have to surround yourself with sane characters in the way that Colbert did. Like when, who was the other dude that was on Strangers with Candy that would like be Colbert's landlord in the early Colbert Show days?
Ooh, not
somebody's
not
gonna
Gary
know
Cole.
it.
No. Shit, if we're still rocking, I'm gonna grab another beer. Do you want something?
I'm okay.
Okay, all right.
I don't know strangers with marine guys as pop.
So he was the dude that was
Paul?
he was like the secretly gay boyfriend of his Strangers with Candy character. No, not Rob Riggle.
This dude?
No.
I typed in strangers with Candy and landlord.
No. He was the landlord on Colbert.
Oh.
It's like another Paul Dinello. That's it. Who got that? Acorn-esque. Thank you. Paul Dinello was so in the early days of Colbert, he was like the landlord of Colbert that would like randomly kind of like come in, but he was not only in that show but Strangers with Candy as well, a great straight guy for
a goofy character,
very kind of out there goofy sort of character.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you have to do is like, if you're the wackiest person on your show, then everything else either needs to be not only all the other characters, but the world needs to be equally wacky. It has to be Pee-wee's Playhouse, or you have to be the crazy person that the world is tolerating.
Yeah.
And the audience can sympathize with the rest of the world.
It's just a super weird sell on the break of it being like very heavily scripted and not having really a lot of it's like there would be little sketches and little skits occasionally, but it was mostly her being like a John Oliver type, and it made me really put into perspective like, well, I think John Oliver does a better one-man show sort of situation, and if I wanted something more current or topical, like I've really been digging Viceland's Desus and Mero. I think they're great.
They're fucking great.
Their shit's
and to be
incredible.
honest, I mean, that's the show where I watch it and I'm like, man, like if in a different world, I think that's where kind of Night Attack would want to go.
Yeah.
And I think that to me is a show where it's like, look, it's literally like what we do now. It's just watching viral videos and making jokes, and then they edit two people watching viral videos down into something. I mean, it's dignation. It's some shit that the internet has been doing for a long time, and you ultimately just realize that, all right, all you have to do is have it edited together in the right way, have a cool looking set, and book good guests, and be able to get good interviews out of them, and boom, that's the show. And that's not to take anything away from Desus and Mero,
yeah,
because I think that their energy is just so good.
And it is helpful that show is 4 or 5 times a week, in that if they spend a lot of that show talking about literally just a viral video or a news article, like that's fine, because it's not meant to be a heavy, this is the thing we're talking about this week, It can be you can churn smaller, lighter content into that.
Because they're to me the definition of, I want to know what they think about this. Like, I'll see stories and I'll think, I can't wait until Desus and Mero talk about blank.
Yeah,
like,
I want to see how they make fun of it.
Shit. Yeah. It's like the white girl who said the N-word with Kendrick Lamar, or when PewDiePie said the N-word. Really, whenever anyone says the N-word that isn't supposed to, I want to hear Desus and Mero make fun of them for it, because they're really, really good at it. And it's like that fucking, when PewDiePie said the N-word, there was just this great line from Desus where the line that PewDiePie said was, "Oh, what an N." And so Desus is like, that's like Shakespearean. Like, it's just like, "Oh, what an N." But it was no, they're fucking great. But there's some people who can improvise like that. And the thing about John Oliver that I think is fantastic is that he walks that line of you feeling like, all right, yes, I watched a comedy show, but really I was there learning. Because he's explaining something in a way dramatically that makes you feel that you wound up learning more than you might have actually learned.
Yeah.
Like, or at least had any reason to believe, like the way that show is structured, which I think is expert, is like you walk away and you're like, yes, literally what you said is how I feel about this.
Well, it's also
comedically and in their research.
And that's the thing, is like it's a very deep dive. It's probably the deepest dive of stuff that a new show will give to something, just in terms of airtime. You know, most of those episodes are like 5 to 7 minutes of like other stuff, and then 20 plus minutes of the thing we're talking about today.
And you know, it's one of those things that you realize, like sometimes I'll watch some shit that John Oliver's talking about that I don't know about, and I'm like, oh my fucking God, I'm an expert now. Like I can get my PhD on literally what you just talked about for 20 minutes. And all I had to do was watch a British guy point to a punchline with a Photoshop. But then I'll watch something about some shit that I really do know about, and I'm like, you guys just spent 20 minutes Googling. Like, but you wrote it in such a way that everybody who's watching it is going to feel like they know everything about it, you know, which is not their fault. Like, they got to do a show every fucking week. Like, what are they going to do? Get a fucking degree and
real job?
Yeah, and everything that they're talking about? No, they're doing their best job to write fucking good scripts, and they do.
You been watching anything lately, Brad?
I've been watching the fucking YouTube numbers coming on today's Mono Rogue shit, and I don't understand it. I don't understand how we can intentionally do a 5-minute episode. Literally, it's like, hey, instead of doing
And now for the local news.
It's the weirdest thing. Like,
I'm gonna go pee. I'm not denigrating you. I really have to.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Brian, go ahead.
I swear to God, you're gonna get up and go pee. No. I meant Justin. I was convinced that was gonna be a universal bit. No. Like. As
gotta get up.
Thank you, motherfucker. I knew it. No. Just like as an experiment, it's like, hey, instead of doing a 20-minute episode where we try out 4 different, weapons of desperation, what if we just broke them into 5-minute chunks and did them day. And for all I know, tomorrow will end up, everything balances the scale. But as of right now, this 5-minute episode that took 1/4 of the amount of time that a full episode took to do, quite possibly the most popular episode we've ever done in the history of the show. And a record-breaking, like we hit 100,000 views in less than 12 hours, which we've never done before. And I'm like, God damn it! You mean we could just all we got to do is just phone it in and do silly shit every day? All right, Rhett and Link.
Yeah, man. No, I mean, so when do we stop doing this once a week?
Yeah, we're gonna do 10 minutes a day. That's the other weird thing, is like every ecosystem is different, right? Like Twitch obviously heavily rewards like, ooh, only 3 hours, huh? Is there can you just,
No, 3 hours is fine. It's just that it's like, all right, so when's tomorrow's 3 hours start?
Yeah.
Like that is Twitch is a platform that rewards constants. Like
and by the way, by Constance we mean a delightful lady named Constance who gets rewards.
It is I.
Hello, I'm Constance. I am here rewarded by Twitch.
When I finished finishing school, I believe that Twitch was the only platform for me.
But
would there be a schedule that would be under 5 hours a night? It doesn't surprise me, to be honest with you. And I don't know why you are you are just the fucking old man in the sea, where you are, just frustrated by the world around you, and like when it comes to YouTube.
Well, I just I seek to understand, and you look for patterns, and you look for what seems to work consistently. I think today was a perfect storm of it being, because you can see that it's a 5-minute video, right? So it's short. You can see I think the title, and this is all Brant, is great because he came up with the idea of I suggested, hey, what if we did, instead of one big video, let's do short videos all week. We'll make it a themed week thing. So he said he titled it Desperate Defense, which I think is a great name. It instantly conveys the idea of unconventional weaponry in a, you know. So the title is Desperate Defense Hairspray, and that thumbnail is fucking gold because it's definitely what looks like just a flamethrower to the face of a person. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that thumb. Tell me you wouldn't click on that thumb.
That's obviously an amazing thumb.
Right.
That is crazy.
So we'll see how tomorrow goes.
I was thinking about this, and I think a lot of it is having good practices, but I think also breaking the pattern. I don't know if you mentioned this, but
correct.
It's a different day. People were not expecting it, so they're going to see what this thing is.
So also, here's a big one, man, is this is one of those things that you notice after, 10 years of doing scam school. Summer. That's the whole reason that we wanted to break the pattern and do something every day, is because turns out people who watch ads and spend money are sometimes in high school or college and suddenly have a lot of free time.
I would also not...
No, we used to notice that on iTricks.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was a store and iTricks, but which is obviously a younger demo, right? In terms of kids get into Magic, and then only the losers who can't find dates continue to stay into Magic.
Anyway, you're talking about somebody here? Hello.
Well,
it's me. It's me, Joe Magician. Hey.
Oh, hi, Joe.
Hey, hi.
Thanks for coming to the studio.
Joe.
Hey, listen, I would appreciate it if fewer people knew about magic.
What type of magic do you do, Joe?
I'm very glad that I learned magic, but all these other people learning magic make me uncomfortable.
Where did you learn magic?
Well, I learned it from a video. But
video?
But
What
did you
kind
pay
of
for that video?
Well, I mean, it was a video. It was paid for. The video was paid for. That's what matters, is that somebody got paid. It doesn't matter how I learned. What mattered is that somebody paid money, and I learned it. And I'm me, Joe.
Where do you like to go on the internet, Joe?
Well, I hang out at a little cafe where we keep up to date with what other people are doing.
Sure.
And,
Like a net cafe?
Well,
How would
it's
you describe the cafe?
Yeah, what's
it's magical. It's a magical place, this cafe.
Okay.
I think he's talking about the Wizard Cafe, Justin.
How would you describe a thumb tip?
You mean a TT? We don't use that word because we know that everybody's fooled by the letters TT. They don't realize we're speaking about a thumb tip. It's important that you maintain the veneer of superiority that comes from making up silly words and acting like the whole world doesn't fucking understand magic and you're the only one who knows anything. Because otherwise it would be a soul-crushing reality to realize that the whole world and you are on the same footing, and I, for one, can't handle that. I'm Joe Magician. How are you?
Or the fact that the only place where you would find people talking about it is a password-gated membership-only forum where literally either only magicians or somebody for whom going through the process where you can't register a fucking Gmail address because they don't want people in. Oh, God forbid you have a fucking Gmail address like to log in. That they still need to preserve the secrecy.
Well, and
thumb tip exists.
I am increasingly convinced that what they really want to do is preserve the illusion for themselves.
Now, are you talking about someone specific?
No.
No, that's a joke. That's a joke.
Yeah, I'm talking about Joe Magician.
Hey, welcome back, Joe.
No, I don't know. I don't know where. I don't know. I'm writing up some ideas about secrecy and magic, and I think about. I understand the temptation to believe that magic is special and precious, and there's only 27 units of it, and you have one, so therefore don't let anyone else have any units of magic. But then I think about magic as an art and how universally the more competitors there are in a field, the better the art does and all that stuff. And it really does come down to, it's like if you love the art and you want the art to do better, then you want other people nipping at your heels. And I think that at some point magicians started buying their own bullshit, that the secrecy was the important ingredient. And they don't realize that that was a lie created by early 20th century magicians in order to, or even before that. It was always a lie that the magic was the sauce. Look, man, we all saw Kung Fu Panda. The magic sauce is there is no sauce, right?
It's actually soy sauce. But you only want to use a little bit, otherwise they'll take offense.
Oh, really? They get offended?
Yeah. I mean, you're telling them that it needs. Yeah.
Yeah. But my I don't know. I just I think at some point magicians started getting high on their own supply, and that's a real unfortunate thing for the art of magic, because it led to a lot of people acting like you would expect somebody who had real wizard powers to act, which is AKA an asshole, you know. And
yeah, and here's the saddest part about magic is that there was a point when single musicianship, like a person playing a guitar, stand-up comedy,
yep,
and magic were all out of the same club. Now, Taylor Swift is Taylor Swift, Kevin Hart is Kevin Hart, and all the people that came before them are the people that came before them that paved the way. And we're still looking at, David Blaine just ran a tour out of Oakland. David Copperfield is still performing. Chris Angel still performing. And this is no shade to them. Good for them to have the careers that they have. But the fact that there has not been a stratospheric famous magician, I mean, maybe Dynamo out of England, like in the last 10 years?
Now, I would
fucking, that's an embarrassment.
I would counter that by saying that, and I would suggest that this is quite possibly flat out because of the transparency that YouTube brings to things. Magic as an art is the most highest regarded I've seen it in my lifetime. The fact that you have shows like Now You See Me, Now You See Me Too, that you have The Mentalist, that you have fictitious figures, you know, Darren Brown, you know, the fictitious figures.
All right. I don't know. I'm saying, yeah, Darren's focused more on television, and he has gotten, you know, so yeah. All right. Although I think in the UK scene is its own scene, and Darren has had a hard time breaking into America.
Sure, I agree with that. But I will say that yes, we have not seen a magic-based superstar, but we have seen more superstars get into magic. And that, I think, is a win for the art. The fact that, you know, going back, 15 years, you know, when you got Wolverine being in The Prestige and doing magic on Jimmy Kimmel, and magic is well represented. I mean, you know, the shit that, you know, David Blaine's doing on The Tonight Show and stuff is fucking, it's full on performance art, and it's starting to be seen as such. And
well, but
all of
Blaine's
this is concurrent. All of this is my point is that all of this is concurrent with the most transparency when it comes to the methods of magic. It is easier today for anybody to become a practitioner of magic than it's ever been in the history of magic. And concurrent with that, also magic is the most respected it's ever been in my lifetime, and possibly in the history of magic.
Yeah, no, I would agree that I think it's looked at. Ironically, the more people have understood that it's a hard thing to do, the more people respect it, the more people understand. I mean, again, imagine if Jimmy Page, like the world of guitar playing was like, no one can ever know how the music comes out of the vibrating box.
And that's actually a good point, because there were actual secret techniques, because distortion in the early days of Led Zeppelin and the production methods that were used in Sgt. Pepper's or whatever, you know, they would play shit down a copper pipe, or they would take a amplifier and they would stab it with a knife in order to get that distorted sounds. Those were, in the magic world, those would be quote-unquote secrets that must never be divulged or whatever. But in the world of music, they're all like, yeah, no, it's really clever. It goes like this, and your music will sound much better, and it will enhance our art if more of you guys do this shit. And all of this is to say, I'm not arguing for do a trick and then immediately take away the wonder by teaching it to someone. No. But what I am saying is that people get too caught up in the idea. What they need to do is if they were more elegant in how they handled that discussion, if they had a better answer than that fucking, I just want to punch every magician in the balls who says a good magician never reveals his secrets. What they're really saying is, I am not culturally adroit enough to come up with a way to guide your attention to somewhere else and preserve this moment of wonder that you're experiencing.
Yeah, I just think that there's not part of what made all the people that we've talked about stars are because they told great stories. They told engrossing stories. They told stories for their ages. They told stories that were relevant culturally, and they captured imaginations. And like David Copperfield has more talent as a stage performer in his left finger when he doesn't give a fuck than most people, but he's a once in a generation talent that owned life and now cares more about the shrubbery on his island than he does advancing the art, at least, right? I think he cares a lot about his own career, but the era of like advancing magic, I think there's nothing more that anyone could ask him to do. He did everything. He wrote the fucking book. David Blaine wrote the book for the 90s. Chris Angel, like him or not, wrote the book about, magic in the reality show era. And there's a lot of names. There's a lot of Michael Carboneros. There's a lot of Andrew Maines, who is fucking like my best friend. Like, there's a lot of people that I adore that are great performers. Really, 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 really good performers. And we could name probably between Brian and I a dozen more that you don't know that are doing fantastic work that you should, knock yourself out to see. But I do think that part of what is frustrating about being in the world of magic is that those acts have these great sparks of ideas. And like you said, because there's not competition, because there's not camaraderie, because there's not a world in which it can foster, it dies. Somebody has a great idea, and that's it. And somebody else doesn't look at that and say, oh, shit, I could take that idea and I could make it better. Let me call that person and ask how they do that so I can see if it's the same thing that I'm thinking and I can try to do something else. Magic has this very weird fucking scene where it's like, even if you accidentally do something that is too close, now the issue isn't, oh shit, I saw that you did this thing. Isn't it really cool? It's like, why the fuck did you rob me?
Yeah. Well, and
robbed me of this.
Even when somebody admits, like, yes, I am fully aware that you have documented evidence that proves that you and I independently came up with the same idea, it is fucked up that you are doing the same idea as me because you are personally robbing me of the expected value I had hoped to get from doing this thing the way I imagined it, and now you doing it is taking something away from me.
We were at Magic Live once, which I would love. Brian, we should fucking actually
just go.
We should just go. Like, yeah. I would actually just love to hang, just because literally there's so many people that I like that I would just really love to just have quiet BarCon at fucking.
Can we be the only people cosplaying at Magic Live? Like, oh, did we lose? Just no. Like, we could cosplay as like Darth Maul and fucking Vader or whatever.
No, we should just go and then book that fucking place that they do Scoops Fest.
Yeah,
and do your show with the all set up magician.
Oh my god, that'd be great.
That'd be really fun. Anyway, so we were at Magic Live, and Andrew had just released an effect called Shrinker, wherein you can stand up and then walk toward the audience. It's a stage effect, and you can proportionally become a little person. And there's a lot of thought and care into it, but it is an effect that, because Andrew Main's a fucking genius in terms of building magic tricks, you were able to do for, Jesus, I can't remember what it retailed for, under 300, which for a stage effect that has that kind of visual impact is insane.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, and it's not just insane. It actually, I think some magicians would say would break the rules. Like, no. This needs to be a $2,000 effect or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he wanted to mass market it as much as mass marketing could be a thing because he figured out a way to do it. In for very, very real reasons. Part of why Andrew's a fucking genius when it comes to inventing magic effects is he realizes he knows this shit structurally to the point where he's like, okay, well, let me actually do this thing called research into how cheaply and how effectively I can build it and how quickly you can replace it, knowing that real magicians have to fix things on the fly. So there's another magician, and I won't name him, but he does an effect where he shrinks down to a certain size. Now, the way that he does it is something that involves a much larger apparatus. That is something that has been done in clowning forever, right? And most importantly, isn't fabricated and sold at the price that Andrew did it. The value in this, in all beyond, before we get into the methods, which is what magicians will obsess about, is that Andrew actually created something that looks like that at a far cheaper price than anybody can do. And in any other field, that would be looked at as a step forward. The creation of the materials and the sourcing of them is the value. But at Magic Live, somebody corners Andrew in the fucking bathroom.
What the fuck?
Gives him an earful about how he should be ashamed that he ripped off Magician X.
Is his point that by virtue of figuring out a way to do it more cost effectively, he has robbed a creator who deserved to build an island on the money he was going to make from this? Or just in general, you've taken something that belongs to a select few and you made the mistake of translating the Bible to the vernacular? Is that what the offense was?
The only setup that I've denied this story is that the magician in question, after seeing the trailer, because again, magic, for those of you who are not aware, is 12 people wide.
Right.
Don't let anybody ever people who get into magic, kids, totally different crowd. Specifically now when they're all on YouTube and they don't go to a certain magical cafe. But in general, the magic world is 12 people wide.
Yeah.
It got to this magician that was offended. And that magician sent an email, and it was explained to him, hey, it's a different method. There's very substantial differences to it. And the guy was still upset. And then Andrew gets cornered in a fucking bathroom by a stranger about how it's a fucking sham that he is stealing this thing. And it's like that to me, that's all you need to know why somebody. That's the reason why Dan Sperry isn't Marilyn Manson. Because it's not that Dan Sperry isn't talented. It's not that fucking he doesn't have an amazing persona and he's not a fantastic gothic magician, which he's a dude who puts a ton of effort and work into his character, and to his costume and to fucking do the work, right? The difference is that Marilyn Manson had Trent Reznor, and Marilyn Manson had everybody else in gothic culture that he had to sharpen his fucking blade on and could either be friends or enemies with to know that all right, well, here's where Bowie is. I need to be gothic Bowie, but I need to make my music sound like Trent Reznor. Where do you go if you're fucking Dan Sperry and you want to be the gothic magician? Who do you look toward? Who do you go to say that's similar to be like, hey, what are your experiences? How can I take that forward? That doesn't exist.
Well, and that's the tragedy, right? Is the world that the scarcity magicians want to create is one in which there is one category of art, and it is called magic, and we are all in the same clubhouse. If you're a kids magician, you are in the same clubhouse as the gospel magician, and you're in the same clubhouse as Dan Sperry, and we're all in the category magic. And it's that's a terrible, terrible idea. Instead, we should be fractioning, and we should be excited to see each other go in increasingly wild, different directions. And there should be a tournament, and it should be a race to the top where, quality matters and that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah. And like also that's why the big world is like, oh wait, when there's a huge magic act, they take other mid-level magic acts on the road and they do gigantic tours and they make them stars. And when these magicians become stars on television, they put other magicians on shows that they produce. And this is where I would criticize. If there's one place where I think you can criticize some of the magicians that are there, and I don't know if it's fair even, but it's like, all right, I guess I'm drunk enough to just spill the fucking tea. Like, I heard that there were a lot of promises made by Chris Angel that everybody who worked on his show was going to get their own television show. And I don't think that it's Chris Angel's fault that some of those guys didn't get television shows, because there's a lot of steps. Brian knows, how many pitfalls you have to walk. Ultimately getting a television show is like Doctor Strange going into his little fucking trance and saying that there's 14 million possibilities and only one in which I get a television show. And that's every pitch process.
Right.
But it wasn't like there's not a tree. It's not like N. Copperfield begat blank, who begat blank, who begat blank. Or there's, in the same way that music artists, that there are labels that create a stable of music artists, or the music artists that bring up people under them, that Dr. Dre creates Eminem and creates 50 Cent and gives them the shine, and then they become gigantic stars themselves to create little versions of themselves going forward. That doesn't exist in magic.
Yeah. And I wonder if, I don't know, I feel like it's getting better in that regard. And I certainly would credit, strangely, counterintuitively, the fact that, the ability to look up how a bunch of magic tricks are done does, some will argue that it causes people to realize, or to lose their wonder. But I would make the stronger case that, it builds an appreciation for the art that did not previously exist. I don't think if you tell somebody it's magic and there's a secret and it's super easy, and if you're on this side of the secret curtain, then you would be able to do it too. Then what you don't realize you're doing is you're devaluing other people's appreciation for the art. Instead, like there quote unquote is no secret to music. It's like you see somebody melt your face with a guitar solo, you already know the answer to it. Like thousands and thousands of hours alone in your room doing scales. And it's like, and that only increases it. And if there's a gift that I would hope that long after I'm dead, people will eventually credit to Scam School, it's that more people went out and tried and understand, it's very, very difficult to break your mind into two pieces. One piece that's giving a script that's incongruous with another piece that is running math or manipulating objects outside of people's vision or whatever. Like, truthfully, gifted magicians and good magicians, I wish they understood how much more respected they would be if people knew exactly what they were doing.
Oh my God. Well, because it just opens up a whole new realm of the virtuoso.
Right.
And something that
right now, all of it is behind a black curtain. There's somebody who's the fucking best violinist in the world, but you never get to see him do his work because for some reason he thinks it's important that his work be secret, and I don't understand the value of that.
Or be indistinguishable from everybody else.
Yeah.
And it's like no, don't worry. I'll get my validation from my peers. I don't need validation from this audience to know that like this is really, really hard to do. So it's like now the Tom Mullicas are indistinguishable from the dude you see at a Bennigan's. I don't know if Bennigan's still exists, but it's like the stars that we've seen are all people that probably would have been stars no matter what. Like David Copperfield could have been a Broadway actor.
Yep.
David Blaine could have been, a DJ or a club promoter or somebody like he could have been a movie star, like because he is just an intensely charismatic person. Chris Angel, and you can look up all the different fucking Spinal Tap iterations of Chris Angel. He was gonna be a fucking star, and he put in the effort and the time and the work to be a fucking star.
It was decided that he would be a star, and after the fact, the question was, well, how are we going to make that happen? And there were a number of attempts, and eventually he landed on it.
And he did all that work.
Earned every bit of the way there. Yeah.
And it just turned out that the star he could have been is like, all right, the Gene Simmons reality show, what if we had a prequel?
Right.
Chris Angel. He does magic now. Ba-boom. There you go. Like, dude with abs, crazy fucking metal hair, doing fucking crazy shit, and he was amazing at that. But you're right that what we don't have is the Jack White, the Tom Morello, the Jimmy Page, the like Carlos Santana. Like, we don't have the Carlos Santana in Magic where it's just like, no, this dude is world renowned for being the best at what he does.
I'll tell you what, man. You know what?
Put a little sheen on it, and boom, now we have smooth. Just have Rob Thomas stand next to him, and now it's the biggest hit in the world.
I think the market is ripe, and if anybody's into Magic watching this right now, I can imagine seeing somebody on television say, hey, I'm going to teach you something. This is called a finger palm. This is called a shuttle. Actually, you know what? We'll do something more advanced. It's called a shuttle pass. I want you to see I got 1 coin in the left hand. I got 2 coins in the right hand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 2 coins over here. I'm going to toss them over to this right here. Now, in fact, you'll notice that there's 2 coins over here. Now, importantly, what I want you to notice is that I don't just dump them over like this. Instead, what you have to do is you have to dump them in such a way where they naturally clang, so you hear that sound. This is going to be important in the piece you're about to see. There's a moment that the whole piece relies on me pulling off the shuttle pass, showing 2 coins in one hand, and then and giving the illusion that there are 2 coins in the other hand. I need you to understand how hard this move is and how much I practiced it. But when you see it, if I do this right, it will be a flawless illusion, and you're going to see genuine wonder on somebody's face. Come along with me. That's the shit that we need in Magic, and that for whatever reason, everybody's terrified to do.
What's because that's the thing. Magicians love Renee Lavon more than humans do. And like, that's fucked up, because like, it's because magicians understand that as impressive as a one-handed dude doing magic is to someone when you don't know what the tricks are, it's fucking way more impressive when you know what he's trying to do and he has to do it with 1 fucking hand. Like, that's nuts. Like, imagine a one-handed fucking guitarist. Is there a one-handed guitarist?
Well,
no, there can't be one-handed.
I mean, there are people. There are children of thalidomide who play guitar with their feet. And it's only because. And think about this. It's only because enough of us have experience playing a guitar with our hands that we can even comprehend how wonderful and extraordinary it is to play guitar with your feet, right?
Yeah. No, a blind guitarist, certainly. And here's the thing about Penn and Teller. People are pointing at Penn and Teller with the clear cups and balls. Absolutely. But Penn and Teller are a theater act. They're like, and this is why they're fucking brilliant, is that like, they don't need to do this. Like, Teller is a fucking, renowned to be one of the best, magicians there are. But ultimately, his greatest skill is marrying theatrics and magic. Like, he's not the most insane, like, sleight of hand guy ever. He is very good. He is in the very, very good. But there are, even now, people who are like, all magicians doff their cap to the fucking smoothness of their moves.
I think I've come up with a metaphor that might be really good, and I can't believe it's taken me 43 years to get to this point. Magicians, the job of the magician is to be a very, very good chess player. and magicians who think that the easiest way to be a good chess player is to make sure as few people as possible know the rules of chess. I think that's the world you and I grew up in.
Yes.
And I want to promote a world where everybody knows the rules of chess, and only the very best can make a career playing chess for the amusement of other people.
100%. I mean, I think that like the restriction of knowledge is the protection of the shittiest brand of anything.
Yeah.
Like it is, you are, and this is why, you know, back in the day, everybody in the swamp town that was screaming and yelling about the dumbest fucking shit, they are the hackiest motherfuckers on the planet.
They're like, what the fuck are you doing? You're teaching chess to everyone. That's just going to make it harder for me to be the chess champion of my local province.
Or they are aiding and abetting the shittiest people on the planet, including people that have very well-renowned Broadway shows. Like, and this is a disease in this industry. Like, and I think that you've won the war, to be honest with you. Not the battle, the war. I think that the war is over. There are holdouts. There will be resistance. There'll be racists who will live forever.
Man, a lot
cursing
changed in 10 years.
That lost it. Oh my God, yeah.
I met somebody.
I think you won.
I met a fantastic magician. I know his last name. Let me get his first name. Chris Riches. I met him in Australia. Dude pulls out Rogue's wallet, and flashes some stuff. He talks about the book test, and he talks about the act he's done or whatever. And I realize at some point he orders a drink, and I'm like, oh, is he 21? And then I realize, oh wait, drinking age is 18, and I realize he's 20 years old. Dude was 10 years old when Scam School started. The rules were very, very different as we understood them back then. And I fucking hope that more and more people learn the rules of chess so that they can appreciate the brilliant mastery of really good chess players.
Well, look, I mean, I think, who would you say the biggest up-and-coming magician is right now? Because you're even more dialed into the YouTube stuff. Like, I mean, I have a name, but it comes from YouTube.
I'll tell you what, man. It was painful for me to watch Chris Ramsey announce that he was no longer going to do tutorials because he taught a trick, and then the powers that be said, no, nobody should know about the Queen's Gambit opening. That so-and-so developed the Queen's Gambit opening, and you're ruining all of chess because now more people know about the Queen's Gambit opening. And he said, you know what? I'm out of tutorials. I have enough subscribers now that I'm just going to, I don't know, I'll do whatever the fuck YouTubers do. And I think Magic
he just
was
does other like vlogs and other YouTube shit.
He said, I have now been appropriately stung by the scorpion, and guess what you get? And the answer is no more tutorials from me. I'm Chris Ramsey, poof, and he vanished in a puff of smoke. Although I think since then he's started doing Magic tutorials again. But in that moment, I felt like Magic really lost something in that moment, and it was a real bummer. But as far as up-and-comers, like, Shin Lim is embracing social media, and we're seeing, weirdly, those two boy, I don't know if they're Chinese or Japanese, but those two guys where their stick was animated GIFs, where one of them does a serviceable magic trick, and then the other one exposes it, and then the two of them beat each other up. Have you seen those?
Oh, those are great.
Have you never seen these, Justin?
I've never. No.
Oh, it's wonderful, and it's extraordinary specifically because they actually the performance of them is not just like magic is dumb. It's actually well executed. And then here we go. So we're seeing one right now. Dude's holding a severed hand, and then and then other dude reveals it and tries to recover. But then it gets better. It gets better as it accelerates, and it becomes more and more adversarial. Yeah. And they're full on exposing like fucking routines that get sold for $50, $100 online.
There's dozens of these. Like they're great. These are so funny.
And meanwhile, I think the reason that they're so incredibly popular is because people absolutely love the fact that they're being treated as equals, that there's not that moment of a good magician never reveals a secret. There's never that smug superiority. There's instead the underlying narrative of all these is we're on your side. We think it's bullshit when magicians act this way too.
Yeah. And because it totally takes the piss out of reveals videos. Because the idea behind reveals videos are that magicians are pulling a trick on you and you deserve to know the truth.
Right. So eventually, boy, I have not seen any of these. They eventually escalate so much farther where they're just beating the shit out of each other. It's pretty great.
And I always see them in these like great little compilations too.
That's fucking great.
See, all right, now so here's where it begins with the actual fighting and stuff.
Fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what. I would say the last time that I saw somebody that like in Magic was becoming like really really big was Collins Key, and he was on America's Got Talent, and then fucking took that tween kind of like heartthrob sort of audience to YouTube, but he I think wound up becoming more of just a vlogger type who hung out with. I think he still like performed for like opening acts for some like pop singers and stuff like that, but in general he was just kind of doing the tween good looking boy thing on YouTube, which is a bankable career for somebody of that age.
I mean, I tell you what, it's not it's understandable if somebody were to say, you know what's fun? Doing a job without a fucking guillotine hanging over your head. And the guillotine being other jealous peers, allegedly, that are in this, in the same position as you and want the same things that you want.
No, Eric Jones is fantastic.
Eric Jones is great. He's a great human being. And also, he's the kind of guy that, certainly Brent Braun. You saw his thing on Penn and Teller Fool Us, right? It's great. If you get the chance, check out Brent Braun's stuff. It's really good.
I don't follow the magic industry as I did.
Hey, I have gossip I want to tell you. So let's wrap up the stream so I can tell you gossip.
All right. Hey, by the way, have you been interested by Brian and I drunkenly rambling to each other about anything that we talk about? Well, imagine this, but drunker, and we will tell stuff that we won't tell on the stream. That could all be yours if you come down to San Diego this Saturday. Live show and a Gaslamp pub tour. After that, pub tour, pub crawl. Say I'm already drunk.
Yeah.
And the next
Hot
night,
gas.
Santa Monica. The
Let's
show in
do
LA is the Westside Comedy Theater. Go to nightattack.tv/tour. Get your tics. See you there.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Good 4 hours.
It was 5.
4.5 by my clock.
Tonight, I want to talk to you about violence in our cities.